Okay, recording's in progress now. Okay, so kicking off today, great to meet everyone. I can see the numbers are still jumping, so we'll give it a minute of housekeeping. My name's Amy Sparrow. I'm going to be one of your hosts today. I'm the head of product marketing at Technology from Sage. And for those who don't know Technology from Sage, there'll be a bit of an intro in a minute. The webinar today is about driving cost savings for your library and its patrons with Lean Library. Your speaker today is Nicola Langford, who's the Sales Director for the International Market at Technology from Sage. We're going to kick off and hand over to Nicola now. Sorry, housekeeping as well. The webinar is being recorded. It will be sent to you a day after, maybe 2 days after the webinar, automatically via Zoom. Throughout the webinar, please ask questions using the Q&A box or the chat box, and we'll get to them at the end. Don't be afraid to speak up, let us know who you are. And if you raise your hand as a participant, we can unmute you so you can talk at the end as well. Handing over to Nicola.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our Driving Cost Savings for Your Library and Patrons with Lean Library webinar. I don't know if Amy just said, but I'm having a little bit of trouble with my audio at this end. So I know you can hear me, but I couldn't actually hear Amy. So apologies if I duplicate anything that Amy said. But my name's Nicola Langford, and I'm the Sales Director for Technology from Sage for the international markets. And for Technology from Sage, that's international covers everywhere outside of North America. So we have quite a big remit there. I'm delighted that you've all joined us today, and we're going to look in detail at Lean Library today, looking at how we can help you and your patrons save money and time. And so just a quick look at what we're going to cover in the next half an hour. So I'm going to give you a really quick intro to Technology from Sage and our mission. And then we're going to look at where library patrons are today, because that will set the tone for how we can help you to save money for the library and your patrons. And then I'm going to introduce Lean Library for those of you who aren't familiar. I know we have a few people on who are very familiar and some who aren't. So going to introduce Lean Library, tell you what we're all about, and then give you some an overview of the key cost-saving features that we have. So it won't be a full demonstration of the product, but I've pulled out all the key sort of features that help to save money. And then we'll finish with a little summary that's all in numbers on some key stats that I hope you'll find helpful. Okay, so without further ado, for those of you who aren't familiar with Technology from Sage, we are a curated suite of library technologies that improve every stage of the patron's workflow, whether that's managing reading lists through to discovering online resources and reference management. I'm not going to talk in detail about our product suite, but our curated suite of digital products includes Talis Aspire, which is a reading list management system, Talis Elevate, which is a collaborative social annotation tool that enables students to interact with content. We also have SciWheel, which is a reference manager and a reading and authoring tool. And of course, we have Lean Library, which is about resource access and workflow services. And I'm going to tell you all about that as we progress. Our mission at Technology from Sage is to help redefine and amplify the power of the academic library to advance teaching, learning, and research. And our strategy is to amplify the power of the academic library with technologies that support that shift from a collection-centric to a patron-centric approach. So we're all about taking library services and content to where patrons are online. And that leads us nicely into Lean Library, because that's all about supporting users in their preferred workflows. So before we look at the product in detail, I just wanted to have a look at where our patrons are today. And I'm sure this won't come as a surprise to you, that modern patrons often don't start their research or search journey on the library website or in the library building. These days, a lot of students and faculty actually start their research outside of the library, particularly on Google Scholar and other open search engines. So we did a report called Librarian Futures. We have 3 reports actually now, but Librarian Futures Part 1 looked particularly at patron behaviour. And this slide shows some of the key results from that. And that does show that 79% of faculty and 74% of students actually told us that they were beginning their discovery journey outside the library, and our own data actually shows from our users of Lean Library that 48% of our patrons actually begin on Google Scholar. But it didn't mean that the patrons didn't appreciate the library and wanted the library to be more embedded in their workflows. So they didn't want to be left alone. 88% of patrons actually wanted the library to be more deeply embedded in their workflow. And 82% of librarians actually thought that was a good idea too. So really making sure that the library was available and kind of on the patron's shoulders. Just before we move on to the next slide, if you haven't seen our Librarian Futures reports, then you can download them from www.librarianfutures.com. We'd encourage you to do that. And so, of course, as students, researchers, faculty are starting their research journey outside of the library, that does mean that they come across a number of issues. So, for example, one of them, when you start on an open search engine, is what we call the many-click nightmare. So this is about how a student actually gets to the resource they need. And on average, when starting on Google Scholar and getting through to actually getting the PDF to their desktop after they've navigated multiple publisher sites, had to enter their university credentials, access the PDF, and then actually got it on their desktop, it can take on average 12 clicks, which is 3.49 minutes. And patrons, patrons also, as you can imagine, when they are doing this, they can come across paywalls, and they might not realise that actually the library has this article, or that an open access article or ebook is available, and so there's a panic. You can see there our example on the right, which is about a student panicking at 11 p.m. because they've left their assignment to the last minute, and they're frantically searching for an article, and then they find a paywall, and so they have to pay to get the resource, when actually that resource was available in the library, or there was an open access alternative. And so what we try to do at Lean Library, as you'll see, is save that problem and get the students through to the resources that you have in the library or that are available as open access. And of course, these problems also bring challenges for you guys at the library. So how do you reach students at the point of need in their preferred workflow? Everyone has a different workflow. And so trying to get to them with the information, whether that's content, delivering content to them, bringing them back to the library for the content, or supplying your services, so servicing the services that you have. How do you get them to into their workflow, and how do you increase the visibility of the library? So, and how do you also ensure that students are getting quality and available library resources, so saving them money and streamlining access to the holdings that you obviously license and pay for. So it's key for you guys to get return on investment and to drive usage, so ultimately saving patrons and libraries money. And so now I'm going to show you a little bit about how we hope we can help you to do that with Lean Library. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Lean Library, we're a browser extension. So we're a browser extension that puts you, the library, on your patron's shoulder, So we embed library collections and services into the patron's workflow to streamline access and drive usage, regardless of where the students start their journey. So that could be on Google Scholar, PubMed, Wikipedia. It could be directly on a publisher website. Wherever they are, we're able to bring you the library to the user and bring the user back to you. So we do that by unlocking access to free content, which saves money for students and you as librarians and libraries. We also streamline access to library content and resources to increase patron usage and get return on investment. We put library guidance and instruction on any academic resource or website online. So, for example, we can surface LibGuides on Google Scholar or on any URL of your choice. And we all know how much you invest in LibGuides, not only in money, but in time. And so this is a really good way of making sure that that guidance is there on their patrons' shoulder as they need it. And we also have a feature called Assist that enables you to promote the library through your patrons' workflow. I'm going to show you more about that as we go. But ultimately, what Lean Library is an app for your library, but it's on your patron's browser and so on their shoulder. So we are bringing the library, as the library moves away from a destination that patrons come to, whether that's a physical building or the website, we're actually trying to make sure that the library is embedded in the life of patrons and in their preferred workflow. So moving from that content-centric, campus-dependent linear system to a more patron-centric learning and research system that can support users anytime and anywhere. And so what this does is it connects the three key user groups that, you know, there is the library, obviously, and we help to put you on the patron shoulder. We keep saying that, but that's what we do. And then we also increase student productivity. So we support the student group and also faculty and researchers. So this is how we interconnect and bring everybody together. And we are ultimately bringing library services, resources and content into the patrons' workflow. We have a lot of integration partners. There's just a few of them highlighted on this slide. But it's really about making sure that we integrate with the systems and content and services that are really important to you and your users so that we can streamline that user journey. And so now I'm going to have a little look at key cost-saving features. I've been having some slight Wi-Fi issues today, as well as the recently discovered audio issues. And so I'm using some GIFs to show you the key features today, just in case my Wi-Fi had decided to crash. And so I'm going to start by showing you how we simplify access to e-resources. So here you can see that a user has gone to JSTOR. It's gone through quite quickly, so I'll keep talking and it will just keep running through. But the user's gone to JSTOR. They search for JSTOR. A pop-up appears saying that you can get access to this site because the library has content. You have to authenticate, and we can do that whether it's Easy, Proxy, Shibboleth, Open Athens. We integrate with your authentication system. You only have to authenticate once, so you're asked for your credentials, you put them in, and as long as you stay in the same browser session, then the extension remembers that you've authenticated. And so this is there's only that one-time authentication that you have to do, and you'll see once you've authenticated or your users authenticated, the URL's rewritten with the proxied access, and there you can see you have access, which then enables your users to access the licensed content that you have. And this is, of course, really key and helps to save your students and researchers money because it's bringing them from the open web into your licensed e-resources, and also helping to drive the usage of those resources. And then not only do we simplify access to the e-resources, but we can also surface and show alternative routes to full text articles. So here you can see that someone's searching for a very specific article. The extension detects that. It brings up the pop-up to say that the article's available elsewhere. And then you click on Access Article, and the user is taken through to that article on this occasion, Brill, so that you're bringing the user back to the aggregated content that you pay for. So again, helping to get that return on investment for you. We're also able to surface ebook alternatives. We all know that Amazon is a very popular search engine, and lots of people go there. And of course, here you can see that if the student actually wanted to purchase this book, then it would actually be £130. And so here the extension has again detected that the library has the ebook in content at a different location, and the patron would just click on the link and it would take them straight through to that ebook alternative, saving money. And here you can see that you can select how we search, but we usually search, and most people choose for us to search through the library's licensed holdings first. But if we can't find anything in your holdings, then we're able to surface open access alternatives. We integrate with Unpaywall and Core. So you can see here that it's saying there's an open access article available. We click on Get Access and it takes you straight through to the PDF. So this, of course, really helps your users to circumvent paywalls and to stop them having to purchase content when it isn't in license in the library's holdings. And it's not only articles that we can surface. We've recently integrated and are delighted to have integrated with DOAB. And so that also now gives access to open access monographs. And so here you can see an example of how that would look when the extensions detected that. I also just wanted to draw your attention to the first box in the pop-up that says prefer reading in print. So this is a new feature where we've actually are also able to link through so that users can actually check to see if you have that particular title that they're searching for in print in the library for those people who prefer print. And here you can see once you've clicked through to open access, then for the monograph, it says open access achieved, and you now are able to access the book. If it's not in your holdings, we can't find an open access alternative, then we also integrate with your interlibrary loan system. So this creates a pre-populated form. So all the metadata is automatically put onto the form that the user then only has to fill out their own personal details, and they can then submit that via a connection that we would make with your normal interlibrary loan system. So it kind of, sorry, I've lost the word. So we're kind of covering all bases there, where it's bringing them back to the holdings to help usage and get return on investment. And of course, driving usage is also it's getting return on investment, but it's also making like the cost per download better from the library's perspective. And if we can't find it, then we're giving them open access alternatives, or also bringing them to the interlibrary loan, so that it's saving your users money and making sure that they are using the resources that you have available. We also have another great feature here. Again, this is just about making sure that users know that the content's available in the library and bringing them back to you and to that content that you pay all that money for. And so here, highlighting search is a great feature. Sorry, got a bit carried away there. It doesn't seem to be working, but what it does is it highlights. You can highlight any word, right click, and then it will link straight through to your discovery layer, and it will surface articles that are relevant to that search term. And then we have another feature that's called Assist. There's a huge range of options and use cases for this particular feature. It's a really good one. You can choose what you put in to the box, so you can link messages essentially to any URL to communicate with your users. A really good use case when you're looking at ensuring students get access to resources that you already subscribe to so that you have value for money and students aren't paying more, is to put it on something like the New York Times, which isn't a traditional library subscription, and so may have a different username and password. And as you can see here, you can just redirect your users by putting a click here button so that they can get the username and password so that they know you have access to it. We also know how much you pay for citation tools and when you're supporting your users. And so we've recently released a new feature, which is called Cite. And you can get citations here. As you can see, if you click on Get Citation, it takes you through and it copies. You can choose the citation style. It then copies the citation and it can be pasted over into your reference manager of choice. Another feature we have is, we call it Workflow for LibGuides. It doesn't have to be just LibGuides, it's any training materials. I mentioned it at the start, but here you can see an example of it. So we are able to surface LibGuides. We integrate with the SpringShare API to do that. And all we have to do is link to the selected URL that you choose to surface the LibGuide. Here is, you can see an example of where a LibGuide is on Google Scholar with instructions on how to use it. But as I say, you can also, it's an iframe, so you can put in other training materials as well. It can support videos, PDFs, you can put them all in, which is really bringing, it's not just about saving money and getting return on investment. It's also about saving time and getting value out of the time you spend doing things. And so we know how much time and care and passion is invested in creating LibGuides and training materials. And so here, instead of them being like hidden away on the library website, here you can actually put them into the workflow at the point of need, so your users can see them when they need them. There's a Google Scholar example, but then here are another few examples. So you can surface special collections or articles that you have specifically materials you have specifically relating to a topic. You can see here defining gender. You can also put on about APC agreements and add those. There's lots of things you can do, but that's just a couple of examples. Another feature we have, which is called additional search results. This is a fabulous feature. So this, as you can see, we started to search on Google Scholar for electric. And what it does is it brings the search results from your discovery layer straight into Google Scholar. Not only does it bring in those, so it essentially replicates the search results we can integrate with OCLC, Ex Libris Primo, EBSCO EDS, and it brings those search results in, so it replicates. So the user gets their Google search results, but also gets the library search results in the right-hand box, and then they can click through and go straight through to that resource on the library website in your discovery layer. But it also, as you can see, there's a box, there's a line across the top, so you can move across, and we also integrate there with JSTOR, so you can bring up database search results, so TRIP, JSTOR. You can also link through to special collections or rare book collections, so we can add lots of things into there, so you can see how that works. And then oh, here we go. This shows you the other ones, which are the special collections. I got ahead of myself there, and rare books, so that you can link through. But once again, this is really about getting users back to resources. We also have a feature called keyword enhancement. So this is where we integrate with content. The example here is from Sage Research Methods. It's based on a keyword search. So here, once the examples on Wikipedia, we've entered visual research, but it actually searches through the integration with Sage Research Methods for this particular example. It picks up any words and highlights them for words that appear within Sage Research Methods, and then when you hover over them, it gives you a definition, tells you where it's coming from, and if you click on read more, it takes you straight through to the article. It's to the content package itself. In fact, you can see a little example here as it goes. So I've entered visual research. It's clicked and highlighted the words, and then you hover over it, it takes you through, and then when you click on it, you end up there at the content package. And we can use this particular feature as well. We can do keywords from your special collections. LibGuides could be surfaced here as well as on URLs. So there's lots of use cases for this as well. And then here we've got the Net Promoter Score. So obviously Net Promoter Score is quite a common survey. It's a common survey, but this is a really good way. You can select the websites that you want to put this on. You can determine the questions. You can make sure you can set how long you want the survey to take place. You can say that after 100 people have filled it in, then you don't want it anymore. Not only does this enable you to see how useful the resource is, but it's a really good way if you're looking at which subscriptions you want to renew, or if you want to reduce your access levels or number of licenses, perhaps. Just as you're reviewing your budget, really, then you can actually use this to get feedback directly from the people who are using the site. And it only once it's been completed, it is known and it's been submitted, it doesn't appear again, so it won't annoy your patrons as well as you go through. And so really those are the key features. There's lots of others, and please do get in touch if you want to learn more. But those are the key features, I think, that really show how we can help you as libraries to get return on investment, whether that's by increasing usage, bringing everyone back to licensed content, or getting feedback on the product so that you know where it makes sense to spend your budget when you're looking at your acquisitions and renewals budget. And also how we can save your students and researchers money by redirecting them to open access content and stopping them getting stuck behind paywalls. And so just to finish, I've got 2 more slides. There's a summary, and I just thought it'd be useful to look at savings in numbers. So when we finished 2023, we did a review of our stats, and we could see that we'd saved libraries an estimated $65 million. So this is our library partners globally, $65 million in terms of circumnavigating paywall content, and that's based on around a $40 circumventing paywall content and surfacing open access content, and that's based on about a $40 average. We also saved patrons 54,127 hours by removing that need for the 12 clicks, getting them to the resources they need faster and in a more streamlined way. We surfaced over 500,000 open access resources for our users as they searched. And our interlibrary loan forms, so the pre-populated forms, were actually surfaced 65,000 times, which shows how those different features are helping to deliver cost-saving initiatives. And finally, just to show how it can help to grow the usage of collections and therefore help to get a better return on investment, after NHS Merseycare implemented Lean Library, you can see here that actually on average they saw an overall increase of 40% usage of their databases, which I think you'll agree is a really positive result. So thanks very much for listening and for your time. Are there any questions? I'm not sure how we can...
I've got it. Thank you so much, Nicola, and thanks everyone for watching. There are a couple of questions that I'm going to talk through. Very sorry that Nicola can't hear us. So Nicola's done a fantastic, brilliant job for presenting today. There are questions from Florence Nambuz, and Florence, I'm going to answer it best I think I can, but please do put your hand up if you want to elaborate on it, because I want to check. And the question was actually not about cost savings, it was about our LibGuide functionality. So Florence has asked, is there any template for LibGuides or a sample one we can benchmark against? How should we develop? What should it not miss, etc. So Florence, I'm going to answer it two ways. I'm not quite sure which you meant. So one, if you meant, is there a Lean Library LibGuide for how students should use Lean Library? One is in creation. It should be ready in Q2 this year, and that will be available for all librarians to use. So it can help your patrons use, the end users, the researcher students, use the library really clearly. And it means you don't have to go create a Lean Library LibGuide yourself. You can just use our template. If the question is about our LibGuide integration, so the onboarding feature that Nicola mentioned briefly. So how that works is it's actually a integration with the general LibGuide providers or any training materials you have. So you don't have to recreate it or build it within the library. It will surface any of your LibGuides that you've got via the pop-up and click out to them. So it's not developing something new. It's not creating something specific for Lean Library. It just means it will surface your LibGuides on the pages you want it to surface. So a really good example of this is PJ Purchase, who's a library director at University of Phoenix, I believe it is, uses LibGuides, deploys her LibGuides on ChatGPT via Lean Library for students. So we know tons of students are using ChatGPT for their research now. We know it's a bit of a wild west out there with prompt engineering, and what's allowed and what's not allowed when using AI tools for studies. So when a student lands on the ChatGPT website, Lean Library surfaces PJ's LibGuide that she's got and built for her library in general on that page. Florence, I hope that answers your question. Please elaborate if I've misunderstood it. Then we had a couple of other questions, and one thing I would like to elaborate on is the open access ebook integration, which is really new. So let me just check the questions coming in because I can see another one. Fine. Oh, there's a couple of questions about the recording. Yes, this will be recorded and sent to you either tomorrow or the next day. And great, Florence. I'm glad that answered it for you. So Nicola touched upon it, but one real big saving we think Lean Library is delivering for customers at the moment is around actually saving patrons money as well. So In our Librarian Futures Report, part 2, which I think has been linked in the chat now, we looked at how much students can spend on textbooks. They're very expensive. And also we know just how much libraries are spending on ebook licensing, physical copies, all of it. Our new integration at Lean Library with the DOAB, which is the Directory of Open Access Books, supported by the OAPEN Foundation. If you're not familiar with them, I'll pop it in the chat. Surfaces ebooks, and it's the only provider that surfaces all these open access ebooks in the workflow, like Nicola shared. And we were working out the average cost of ebooks for students is absolutely massive, and the average cost for a request of an ebook through the library again is really massive. So that new feature we believe is going to deliver lots of cost savings. Cool, I'm going to try and indicate poor Nicola here. She did a fantastic job while not being able to hear us. Presenting to the ether is never the easiest. Any other questions though? I'll just give it a second. Okay, no. Well, thank you so much for joining today. If you want to learn more, go back to my website. You will get the recording with an email address afterwards. So get in touch if you want a private demo or to learn about other features. Or if you're a currently library user and think you're not utilizing some of these features to their best, get in touch with our support team and they'll help set them up for you. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you again, Nicola. We're sorry about the audio issues. Hopefully you still got what you wanted from it anyway. And we'll give you 5 minutes back. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.